Hey everybody, Livingston here. Today we're jumping into a Twilight Zone Season 3 podcast, and today I have Chad joining me.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah.
And what are we doing today, Chad?
Well, actually, I really like what we're about to do. So, you watched all Season 3 of the Twilight Zone episode, and every episode, and then you put together your top 5. And then you're like, watch these top 5 and tell me what you think. So I watched them on my own time, and then we've ranked them from worst to best. So we have a little slideshow that we're going to go through right here, and then we're going to reveal which ones are our top 5 and see what we line up on or what we disagree on and discuss the episode. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so up first, this is the podcast title, so welcome to the Twilight Zone Season 3 Top 5 podcast. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe. And let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to go with my picks first. Are you ready, sir?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Here we go. Up first is number 6. Why do we say number 6? Well, because this episode was so bad. Like, if I never watched it again, it would be like far too soon. Like, this is something that I never wanted to see. The episode It's a Good Life is not... The little kid in that made me want to, like, break his fucking neck, bro. Like, 100%. Like, there is no place 5 for that. It is place 6. It is that bad.
It's one of the highest rated episodes of the Twilight Zone.
Really?
I mean, you have seen this story before.
Have I? It feels like WandaVision.
Nope, you saw it in Twilight Zone the movie with the cartoon and the kid, and
that's right.
The girl shows up, but the ending was different in that he was taken away and he ended up having someone that actually loved him in the end of that. This one, it was just doom and gloom and nothing happy came out of it whatsoever.
That's all I thought.
That's my number 6. I didn't like it. I'm not gonna, let's go through yours after and we can reveal like what place yours are in, but that's me, number 6, It's a Good Life. Up next, number 4, Season 3, Episode 1-2. This one for me was like so slow. I was watching him like, what am I, like, why did he pick this episode? And I was like confused because I didn't know like what I was watching, and I was like, I don't know, it was interesting. It's like you're trapped here with an enemy and she's this pretty girl and you fight her and then you eat boiled chicken out of a can, and interesting.
Well, that was Charles Bronson. I don't know if you recognize the character or the actor. He was in Death Wish 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
But he was also in Once Upon a Time in the West. Also, awesome movie. If you haven't seen that, we need to put that on the list. It's one of those like classic westerns. And the other one was Elizabeth Montgomery. I don't know if you recognized her. She was from Bewitched. She played,
Oh, yeah.
the witch.
Yeah, she did look familiar, but I just wasn't sure how.
But I just like the simplicity of it. It was just two people going, from set to
they literally
set.
walked in a circle on that set. They literally went from one little building to the next. It rained. They ate chicken. She put on a dress. And the way Mr. Serling talks, I gotta keep my teeth tucked in.
The Twilight Zone.
The Twilight Zone. Yeah. No, it was a good episode. It just, it ranked later because I liked the other ones so much. So
I like those episodes that make you wonder what's going to happen after the fact. Like once the episode's done and they get into the actual, like, their relationship, I'm like, well, I want to see that. I want to see them and their love story kind of progress, but that's what Twilight Zone does. It just ends on the story kind of continuing on sometimes, and you don't know what the hell's going on. But, I mean, I like that. It leaves it to your own interpretation of what's going to happen at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely gives you a chance to, have a few thoughts about what's going on and kind of interpret your own, like, how would I handle this situation? I'm like, in this zone.
No, to me, that makes the best episodes in the Twilight Zone. Does, like, what would I do? How would I do it? Would I survive in that situation?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. It was funny though, because the gunshot that she did when she held up the gun, like it was like pew. It's just such a sad little gunshot like that she shot at him. It was like really bad effects.
Well, it's 1961 for you.
Yeah, I have to remind myself that I'm watching something that's that old. You know, TV has just changed so much. I was like, it's hard for me to engage in some of these. But that's
But
not the case with
if
the
you
next
watch a
few.
lot of Twilight Zone, it's a lot of it becomes like you start seeing other things that I like or you like in the stories. Like, oh, I've seen that. That was a movie, or I've seen
Yeah.
that was made in. There was a Final Destination episode too that like, oh, that's what it all came from. So that's pretty interesting that they do that. That a lot of the stories that I like come from the show.
Yeah, it's definitely, I could see you getting a lot of your inspiration from things that you've been writing lately and stuff we've been talking about, producing together and filming. So,
Which
yeah.
we'll post at some point.
At some point. That's why we went with number 4 for that one. So number 4, season 3, episode 2. Up next, of course, is number 3. That would be Midnight Sun, season 3, episode 10. This one
was
for
bleak.
me was right smack dab in the middle because it was just interesting. I didn't dislike it and I didn't like crazy like it, but it was a decent story and I liked that, they were together in the apartment and fantasizing about, how hot it was while they were in the middle of an ice storm. The twist at the end, I definitely didn't expect. So I was like, huh? Like she's dreaming of dying of extreme heat when they're about to die of coldness. So I guess it's almost like a double timeline thing, right? So in one timeline, they fell out of orbit towards the sun. In the other timeline, they fell out of orbit away from the sun. Yeah. So
yeah. I like that twist ending. I mean, at the same time, you were like, "Oh man, this sucks for the main people." But I like the twist ending at the very, like, oh, this when they woke up, all of a sudden you're like, "Oh shit, they're out. Thank God, it was all a dream." And then, oh, it's too bad we're about to die in like, not too long from now. So
because there's about to be
and
no sun. So either way, yeah, you had like a pretty messed up situation that you weren't going to be able to escape from. I don't know. I guess it answers a good question though. It's like, would you rather burn to death or freeze to death?
I think freeze because
100% freeze.
Because burning to death eventually, I mean, either way, you're going to pass out before the actual event because either you're going to die of extreme cold and just pass out and, freeze to death, or you're going to pass out by lack of fluids. I think I would prefer to go the cold route
for sure.
if I had a choice,
Oh, if I had a choice, for sure. I mean, there's so many bodies on Everest. There's something like 200 bodies up there of people that have gone up there and just had a cold. Oh, I'm cold and I'm a little sleepy and I just don't
gonna
wake
take
up
a
from
nap.
That. Yeah, I'm just gonna take a nap forever.
I'll be okay. Yeah.
I want to become a popsicle.
And then you end up becoming like a monument that people take pictures next to, like, look, dead body,
Yeah, I know this. Yeah, this is the famous dead body of like. There's like names to them and.
The oldest one, I think, I remember like having a morbid curiosity and like looking at pictures of that and going, well, okay, what would that look like? And then, of course, they have bodies up there that have been there since like 1911 and, and they're still there and fairly in decent shape.
Right? It's like, I wonder where else in the world there's people that are mummified like that we don't even know about because we haven't explored it.
Yeah, probably all those high mountains. I mean, other than the Himalayas, I don't know there's any other place where, because we can still go any other area and get the bodies.
For some reason, we look at a big mountain and we say, I must climb that mountain. I must get to the top, even if it kills me. I mean, that's with that bug.
I'm sure the North Pole or Antarctica might have some bodies. People went exploring and probably never came back.
Fell
and
into
they're
a crevice or something, you never see them again.
Yeah, they're with the dinosaurs and the man myths, I guess.
Yeah, they're going to pull them out and it's going to confuse people. All right, let's continue on. So that was number 3, Midnight Sun. Number 2 is Kick the Can, season 3, episode 21. I really like this episode. It reminded me, I think we watched the Twilight Zone movie together and they had a similar version of the story where the man was playing and like it made him feel more youthful and more young. I don't. Yeah,
it was directed by Spielberg, and the story was a little different. And then they had somebody show up in the Spielberg one. It was a older man who would go to one old folks home to the next old folks home, and he would basically like pick people who would want to be children again. And I kind of took it as if he had the magic to make them young, even though he said it's in you, but it was him that was always making that game happen and kind of creating those scenarios. And this one, they didn't have that. It was just one guy just had the epiphany, like, hey, let's kick the can and I'll just be young again, which I thought was cool too. It was a nice way of doing it. And that's what I enjoyed more about this episode in comparison to the movie, was that his friend was involved that he's been with since childhood. And in the movie, they didn't really have that, kind of relationship. You just knew they were a bunch of old people that were in this one place and they knew each other, but they didn't know each other like earlier on in life. These were like childhood friends, been together. And then, one ends up becoming a kid again. The other one is kind of left behind. And they kind of left it like, will he be able to meet his friend again in youth, or will he end up just being an old man and living out his days and just dying? Who knows? But again, that's what Twilight Zone does.
All right. Well, obviously that leaves only one more for what can be number one, and that would absolutely be Season 3,
Man.
Episode 24, To Serve Man. I really enjoyed this episode, and I feel like I called it like at the title. I was like, To Serve Man? Oh, you mean to eat man? Yes, we want to give you all these things for free. And like in my head, I was thinking like, oh yeah, sure, aliens come and give us all this stuff. Meaning. Yeah, so just a really good episode. The only thing that like really threw me off was obviously that face.
You know who that is?
No.
That's the guy who plays Jaws in the 007 movies.
I was going to say he did look familiar.
He also had a nail in his head in the first Happy Gilmore movie.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the same guy.
I knew he looked
I
familiar.
enjoyed this. It was definitely an interesting episode. I mean, of course, that's why it's in my top 5 out of like 36 episodes for season 3. They're just fun episodes. I mean, there's probably episodes in season 3 that you'd enjoy over the ones that I liked, but maybe in season 4 you can join me for those. They're hour long, so for some reason they go into longer episodes in season 4. Yeah, but the episode count is, I think, less. It's like 18 instead of the double 30, which of course, that's the reason why it's longer episodes. Basically. But kind of curious how it's going to flow due to
longer storylines.
Longer storylines, because I like the short, like 23 minutes, and then you get the story, you're done. Outer Limits, I kind of fell out of a little bit just because it was longer, and there were some good episodes, but at the same time, it's like, all right, we could have like sped this up to 23 minutes and just made a more streamlined show, but oh well, we'll see what happens. We're getting into season 4 now, so
all right. Well,
I don't know.
I guess we'll see how we rank up for Livingston's picks. Let's see who number 5 is for you. Oh, you went backwards. So number 1 is season 3, episode 1-2. That was your favorite one, really?
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I just for some reason liked the simplicity of the story, and I just liked it. I had my imagination running with it, because when it ended, it was all like, what would they do? How would they survive? How would it be? Like it just, it was more like that than it was like the first part of the story. And plus there was no talking hardly at all.
Yeah, very little talking.
I just liked, and at that moment while I was doing the rating, I was very into stories that have very little speaking involved. So that's, one of the reasons why I just enjoyed the simplicity of the story.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was definitely a simple story. It was just, I have to get my head in the place of, okay, I'm watching something that was, entertaining audiences in a much simpler way. Now you have to keep people's attention with effects or,
it's 63 years ago. I mean, that's a while. I mean, things have changed. Things are a little more faster paced.
Yeah, that's considered antique television at this point.
Yeah, I mean, this is the class. I mean, this is antique. What's 1920s and 30s stuff? I mean,
it's ancient, bro.
It's ancient.
Yeah. When you're on the radio and they're like, now listening to the oldies, and it's like 70s and 80s and 90s.
Yeah. Oh, now I'm starting to hear 90s
I hear 90s
now.
as oldies, and it's like, what does that make classic rock? It's like classic rock is stuff from 2000. It's like, what does that make rock from
I don't
like
think of classic rock like that.
Before? It's like, oh, that's now returning to the ancient hits of yesteryear. You liked 2 as your number 1 episode. I never would have in a million years guessed that would have been your number 1. But
yeah, that was my number 1.
All right, let's see what number Number 2 is for Livingston. Oh, shit, it's not in order.
I just did the numbers. You know what? We'll jump around. Number 3.
It's okay. Number 3, It's a Good Life. The fact that this is even remotely on your list, not near the bottom, is wild to me. Absolutely crazy. How can you stomach this episode? Oh, it's real good.
That's why.
It's real
That's-
good.
That's exactly why I enjoyed it so much, because it just made you were so pissed at that kid.
Oh, man.
You're like, I
It made
just
you
wanted
feel
to
something.
string.
It made
I
you
wanted to
feel
jump
something.
through that. Yeah, exactly. It made me feel I'm like, you know what? If it made me that pissed off, the writers did a great job at like conveying the anger of the audience wanting to just go through that. And the little bastard just, but
You think at the writing table they were like, how can we make the audience want to strangle and murder a child?
That's what it
Here's the
is.
story.
I mean, it's probably a bunch of new parents going, you ever just wanted to just, you don't want to say it, but you're like,
Definitely want to strangle this kid. Yeah. The one thing I did find most unappealing about that episode, aside from the kid. Okay, I'm with you. I can see it made you feel something, so it could be higher up there on the rating. But the dialogue was a big struggle for me, because they're like, that's real good, buddy. I forget the kid's name, but
Oh yeah, I mean, and they really played with that in the movie too, if you remember, because they had the guy like, "Oh yeah, no problem," and they were like really hamming it up too in that episode for the film. But yeah, and that also came up a lot of times before I got to this episode, was the cornfield. Like, we're going to send you to the cornfield, and there was people that would comment back and go, "Oh, I wonder if they ended up in the cornfield when somebody would like disappear in an episode and have no explanation as to where they went." And then you get to this episode and you're like, oh, I get it now. They go to the cornfield. It's just a big field full of people that are wandering around going, where the hell am I?
That's my next
guess.
question. Is there a cornfield episode where we get to hear about all the people stuck in the cornfield
I
together?
asked that, and there isn't, but I'm like, you know what? That might be cool to write,
That would
something
be a
that
really
kind of
cool episode.
like all the people that disappeared. Where did they go? At the cornfield. But
It's like they have their
there's
own
actually
little village started, and they have like a little store and be like, well, one day we were just here and now we live here.
and we have all the corn we need.
Yeah. We're stuck in an eternal cornfield. We will never run out of food.
But this ended up having a sequel episode in the early 2000s, version of the Twilight Zone that was
the
going
one
on.
Jordan Peele redid?
No, that's 2018, something like that.
Okay.
This came out like in 2000, 2001, 2002, somewhere in that. There was like 2 seasons that ran back then. And I'm on season 3 now. I got season 4 and 5 of this original show. And then we get into the 80s, and I think they did like 4 or 5 seasons of the Twilight Zone then. And then you get into the late 90s, early 2000s, and that's 2 seasons, and then another 2 seasons with the Jordan Peele. And then that's all they have for Twilight Zone. So, still got a ways to go before I hit the end of the Twilight Zone saga.
Overall, I mean, it's very interesting to watch these episodes and see how things played out differently from when they were on. All right, let's see what number is next, since
It's Russian
thought it was
roulette,
in
man.
order.
I don't even know what's number 5.
Whoa. Okay, my number 1 was your number 5. That's crazy. Why did you like this one the least? I can't believe it.
I mean, I've seen it before.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of time to just ruminate on the actual episode, I guess. But it doesn't surprise me. It didn't, like, the other episodes surprised me more so of what was going on and the doom and gloom of the last episode. My number 3, I wanted to say my number 2, but but I don't know. It was just a darker episode. I didn't gravitate. I love it. I think that's why it is in my top 5. And when I say episodes of the Twilight Zone, there's not a bad episode of the Twilight Zone. They're either good or great. And these are like top 5 out of the wonderful stories that are in the Twilight Zone. I think I just watched the least favorite episode of everybody's in this past week that just released recently this Wednesday. It was a Carol Burnett episode. And it was just very funny and slapstick. This is the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Like, we are basically on the menu to be served up. So when it's
good,
on
though.
when I say it's my number 5, you got to think it's also number 5 out of 36 episodes. Like, these are my top 5. I love them all.
Yeah, I
But-
guess that's something I have to remember, is that these are your top 5. I honestly thought when I watched 2 and I watched It's a Good Life, I was like, he put these in here just to fucking make me mad. Like, I honestly thought, I was like, that's crazy that, we're so not opposed, but just have different, favorites. All right, let's see.
Yeah.
What's next? Number 4, Kick the Can. So Kick the Can
Can.
came second to last for you. Well,
Yep.
Why was that? Because you like the other version better, or?
I did like the other version better. I did like the storyline of what I said earlier about the
Man coming to visit.
friend. Yeah, the man coming to visit was different. I thought in this one it was a little more natural how it kind of progressed, other than like there was more of a magic aspect of the one in the movie, because like a guy came and he has the magic with him. That's kind of how I took it, or he at least showed this is what you need to do in order to. And I liked the other version where it's like they just stumbled upon it, where he just believed, like, you know what, if I kick the can long enough, I will never grow old. And he just had that epiphany one day, and I kind of like that more so than the newer version. But it's in my top 5, and the other 3 that came before it, they just surprised me more. I guess that's why they're in my top 3, and this is my number 4. But they're all wonderful episodes.
Again, all wonderful. Just that It's a Good Life was terrible because it made you feel things. All right, so then that leaves number 2 as Midnight Sun. So this was near the top of the list.
I mean, I just like the doom and gloom of the story and that twist ending where it's like, oh crap, everything's not good.
Yeah.
Y'all are still going to die, just in a different way.
I like it too because it does that, it does a little bit of that circular, like, reasoning in the sense of, in a modern movie, they'd be, there's multiple timelines, and this is what happened in this timeline, and they'd kind of use it as a plot hole filler, or a plot hole maker rather, and be like, well, somebody can come back to life on a different timeline, blah blah blah. But this is like, is it a different timeline? Like, are these people living the 2 timelines where the Earth goes towards the sun and the Earth goes away from the sun, and she's dreaming about the timeline of the version, because there's so many like deja vu moments and things.
Or
personally.
is she still dreaming?
Yeah.
Like, is she?
Or she's
because
wishing...
that's also a Twilight Zone episode where that was in another season 3, where a guy wakes up and he looks over and he goes, I don't recognize you. You're not my wife, and he ends up, actually what happens is in the first part of it, no one recognizes him. He wakes up in bed, and the person next to him, he believes to be his wife. And it turns out she doesn't know who the hell he is. Like, who are you? I don't know who you are. Then he goes to work, acts like nothing's the matter. And it turns out no one at work knows who he is. And all of a sudden they think he's crazy, and then he ends up going to sleep, and when he wakes up, he's in bed with his wife, but now she recognizes him, but the difference is she doesn't look the same. She's not the same person that he believes to be his wife, and now he's wondering, who the hell are you? And it's like every time he falls asleep, it's always something different. And this could have gone the same way.
I like that.
But I think this one kind of ended where it's like, yeah, it doesn't seem that this is a dream.
Yeah, it was funny how much water they sprayed on the people. They were like, before
they were definitely drenching them, throwing buckets at them. You're drenched.
Yeah, you're hot. You're definitely hot with all this water.
I'm sure, like, at one point they're like, you know what? We do run out of that at some point. Maybe we're just out of water now.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, is there one more? I think there's one more.
I don't know. I think there's one more.
No,
that was it?
That's it. Yeah, we're going back through the list. So,
okay. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
1, 2. Yeah, I was just out of order. So 1, 3, 5.
Well,
4,
see, I didn't want to
2.
ruin the surprise for myself, so I didn't like put them in order. I guess I should have asked you to like rearrange them. So the fact that this was like right in the middle for you is still wild to me because it made me so angry.
Good life.
Yeah, and
Is it though?
at one point Michelle was watching with me, and she's like, "What the fuck?" She's like, "What's happening? This doesn't make any sense." Like on It's a Good Life, like. You know, that's real good. And she's like, why would they say that?
They're just trying to appease the kid.
I was like, because he's evil. Because he's evil. It's an evil kid. She's like, okay.
Just a thought. Just a simple thought.
Yeah. I don't like you. You're real bad, mister. You're a bad man. You're a real bad man.
I am interested to get to the sequel though. And that's still a ways away. I'm like a couple years from that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, if I go by order and I do one episode a week up until, so I got like another 18, that's 18 weeks, and then like another 18, and then I get into season, I think the 80s has like 100 and something episodes,
There's a lot of episodes to go through. So do they go back, do they go from an hour timeline back to a 25-minute timeline, or do they stay as hour-long episodes?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I really don't know the lengths. I feel like the ones in the early 2000s were, or they could have had double. I'm not sure. I can just look it up,
Yeah.
That's something I can do. Season 1 was 1 hour, each episode 2 to 3 short segments. So they would do segments. That might be cool. 1 hour episodes, typically 45 to 48 minutes of content. Each episode usually contained 2 to 3 short segments similar to, that might be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you get like 2 or 3 stories per episode.
Yeah, they could be connected to the other episodes, or.
In season 2, it goes to half hour, so they switch it back. Yeah, it depends on the season. Seems like that. It's like that for every one of them. It just depends on the episodes.
Well, that was fun. I enjoyed the Mind Maze Entertainment podcast about the Twilight Zone season 3 top 5 because we were so I don't think any of ours lined up.
No. What was your number 1 was my number 5, or vice versa.
Yeah. None of ours lined up.
Next time, Gadget.
Go, Gadget matching.
Go, Gadget, go.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode of Mind Maze Entertainment. This is our first episode of the podcast series rating Twilight Zone episodes. So this won't be the last one, but this will probably happen at the end of the seasons of Twilight Zones that Livingston has been watching and doing reviews on for you. And then I can catch up at the end of the season and we can go over this podcast rating back and forth. I had a good time just finding out what things we had in common, what things we agreed on, what things we disagreed on. And I would say Livingston even maybe changed my perspective a little bit on It's a Good Life. As much as I didn't like that episode, it did make you feel something, and it made you feel something very strongly. So retrospect, I'd probably change the arrangement of that. But again, thank you for watching. Please like, follow, subscribe, and until next time, stay lost out there. Over and out.
See ya.